Billy
The
Baloney. Are you
Mandela
talking? You're
Yo,
talking about
thank you, Billy
Billy
Baloney. That's
Baloney?
what it
Yeah,
is.
Billy
Yes,
Yes, yes.
Baloney.
he was
But he
supposed
was
to.
like he was just like a puppet.
Yeah,
The other one, Randy, was like alive
Randy's is
almost.
sentient, and Billy Baloney is a
It was
puppet.
just
Puppet.
Pee
Yeah.
Wee.
How
Well,
they make that
oh,
distinction in the Pee Wee universe, I will
I
never know.
told
But
you I
then,
wasn't crazy.
did you tell us that? I don't recall you saying that.
Well, I
no,
was
never.
implied. You
Okay,
implied that I was, and I'm like, no, that was a scene in it.
okay. Well, this is probably the fastest we've ever jumped into the topic matter without bullshitting for like 20 minutes first. But I mean, shit, man, I don't even know how to jump into the topic matter without bullshitting for 20 minutes first. But
This
this will
lamb
be new.
chops is bullshit.
This lamb
I
chops is
Yeah.
Pee Wee.
I'm
Yeah.
all about cutting to the chase.
Pee Wee. Really, Greg? You're all about cutting to the chase?
Apparently, I think I was the one who said, "Isn't that a character in the Christmas special?" And then, boom, we were
No,
off on the Christmas special.
because actually, I think Ken asked me if I knew why he called himself Hammy before you even got on.
Or
So,
just what was significant about the name.
right, right. Um, so we're sort of like extending from the last episode because this was only supposed to be a one episode spectacular with the main cast of this podcast is Lamb Chops. However, the whole main cast has not been able to do either of the Christmas episodes. It's been me, Ken, and Hope for both of them, which is Greg, as you know, 75% of this podcast is Lamb Chops. And Greg, you are now filling in for the very famous Dave Aguilar. So now
Technically, I'm filling in, although I would have been on had he been on anyway.
I asked you to
Yeah.
come on because I figured Dave probably wouldn't be able to make it. So,
No.
and I was like, if he does, then we'll have five people on. And, I also didn't know if Hope was going to make it, but here she is. Hey, Hope.
Well, I
Hey.
What, Greg?
no, I was going to say, and Ken can confirm. I essentially never think
Yes, that's true.
Martin, and Hully are showing up for Undiscovered Podcast. So and Martin obviously comes on much more than Hully, but it's always a free for all because it's like, well, we don't think Hully is actually showing
Well,
up.
yes, of course not. Well,
Yeah, yeah.
to be fair, this is not a matter of what are the odds Dave is going to show up because Dave usually does, and the reason
Valid, yes.
I figured he probably wouldn't because he was like, oh, we have plans, but I'll see what time they're going to be, and I was like, all right, I'm preparing for the fact that he probably won't be able to make it, and here we are, sans Dave.
All right.
And so we are talking about it was 1988, the 1988 Pee-wee's Playhouse Christmas Spectacular. I call it the Spectacular, even though he just calls it the Pee-wee's Playhouse Christmas Special. There was just so much that happened in this Christmas special, and it was like an episode of Pee-wee's Playhouse, but it was also like a variety hour. It was like a Pee-wee's Playhouse variety hour. Very interesting format, which I never realized when I was a kid because I was just sort of like, this is I was 5 when the thing came out, and it's just part of the Pee Wee presentation. Also, the HBO special, which I did not realize at the time was not appropriate for children. So,
You were
yeah,
5 when this came out?
in 1988, yeah.
Oh my God.
Well, okay, I don't know exactly what date it was. I was possibly almost 6.
Okay.
So, yeah, yeah. Ken,
Yeah.
I know you have been just exploding inside like a combustion engine for the last like week
Yeah.
to give your thoughts on this episode. So
hmm
I'm going to let you speak first about your thoughts on
Okay.
this
Well,
episode. Okay.
I figured I'm gonna start off positively.
Okay.
Okay. Because I don't usually do that.
You usually go the other way around. You start negative, you
Yeah,
get positive.
I usually right away I'm just like, oh, what a steaming pile of fecal material. But
Mm-hmm.
I gotta say, best part of this thing, Grace Jones.
Uh-huh. Oh yeah.
Just, I mean, she is. I don't know what it is about her. Even when she does something that's so, camp that it's ridiculous and horrible, it's still good.
It's because
And
she's a
this was
fucking
not
space
that.
alien.
This was
Yeah.
not that.
And this no, and this was not that. And I don't mean this was camp and horrible. I think what I'm specifically thinking of that was so camp and horrible and it's still good
Mm-hmm.
was probably some of her performance in Conan the Destroyer.
Okay.
And then maybe there might been a little bit of in I think was she in A View to a Kill? I think that's which James Bond she was in.
Greg is nodding
Yeah.
his head, so
Yeah.
yeah.
I
But she was
remember her
actually
line
decent in that.
vividly. I thought that creep loved me when they were in the water. Yeah.
Yeah.
Christopher Walken was her.
Yeah, I mean, and she was not bad in that, but there was a couple of scenes in Conan the Destroyer which I'm just like, oh my god. But in this, everything about it, her performance in it was great. I mean, she was Grace Jones. She was, even the position that she's put in, and she seems to have this ability to do that. No matter what scenery she's in or around, she's like a goddess. She's,
Oh, yeah.
She's the queen. The whole scene, the whole area is hers. And she's
Okay.
owning it every minute of it. So I just, I'm watching this and, I didn't remember specifics about it. And then just when I saw Grace Jones was on, I was like, oh my God, this is going to be fantastic. I was like, and even if it's going to be horrible, it's going to be fantastic.
At least there was Grace
horrible,
Jones.
and it was fantastic. And Grace Jones was great. There was everything about it. Loved it. I just totally loved her part of it. It didn't even need to be a Pee-wee special.
Yeah.
Yeah. No,
Yes.
I mean, she was fantastic. I really, really want to have some kind of behind the scenes of like what went on with her there. I would have loved to have seen the interaction of her there. The other thing I have to say, Cher was great too.
Even though her appearance was not quite as what's the word I'm even looking for? Goddess-like?
Yeah. I mean,
Yes, I don't know.
yeah. I mean, Grace Jones's appearance had something, like overarching to it. Cher was just kind of there, and she was
in
having
the same
a fun
room as
time.
my chair, right? Yeah, like
Yeah, exactly. And she was just having a good time, and it was fun. And you could tell that she had probably hung out with Paul Reubens before, and they're having some jokes or whatever.
Yeah.
She was just there having a good time. Grace Jones was an experience.
Yeah.
So that's what, but also, and that being said, Cher was doing fine. The other people's experiences, one thing I wanted to say at the beginning of this, you could almost tell how much, I don't want to say how important, but kind of like how much pull each guest star had according to what their appearance was. So the people that only appeared in a video sequence were probably like, I really don't have the time for this. Look, if you want, I'll be on for like 20 or 30 seconds, and then that's it.
And
Which I have a hard...
Right.
Yeah.
I was just gonna say, and they made it appear as though Pee-wee couldn't be bothered, when in fact it was Whoopi Goldberg and Oprah Winfrey who couldn't be bothered.
Oh my God.
Yeah. But I have a hard time feeling that was true for Cher. I almost get the feeling that she really wanted to do this. That like maybe her and Paul Reubens were like actually good friends and would hang out. That's the impression I got from watching this, their chemistry together.
I'm
yeah.
sorry. Well, I was just gonna say,
and I just feel like, what was it? Who was the one that Dinah Shore?
Oh, Dinah Shore.
Dinah Shore, I got the feeling that's really how it was. that, Pee Wee was like, look, I really don't have the time for her. We'll let her be on for as long as we want, but you know what? In editing, just cut it up. Just get some of it out.
I don't think I have a hard time believing that they actually filmed her actually singing that entire song for like 40 minutes straight.
12
Yeah.
bodybuilders.
I love and it was funny because like I think eventually it got like on the 200th day of Christmas, there was definitely stuff that was being invented for that song. By the way, I do want to point out the can I call it irony of the fact that the late Dinah Shora celebrates Hanukkah and she is
Yeah.
singing this big grandiose Christmas song for like the second half of the special.
Well, I just thought the part of the special when Pee Wee's, Jewish friend comes in.
Mrs. Renee.
I thought,
yeah,
Ms. Renee, and I thought it was hilarious. 2 reasons.
mm-hmm.
First, the look of sheer disappointment on Pee Wee's face when she tells him she's Jewish.
Yes.
He looks betrayed.
You are? And
Right,
proud
right.
of it.
Right. And then the second thing is like, she has probably the thickest, most comical Long Island accent.
Yeah.
Not Queens, not Brooklyn, definitely Long Island accent.
And funny thing about Mrs. Renee, is that actress was on Taxi.
I was just going to say that.
Oh, she
One
Right
was.
out of my mouth. Yeah.
One episode of Taxi, and she was like,
No, two episodes.
was
of
it 2
Taxi.
episodes? Okay, 2
Yep.
episodes of Taxi. But like, you really, it's not the kind of thing that you would really think about. But she is a very versatile actor, which you could tell just by watching Taxi and Pee-wee's Playhouse. Because in Pee-wee's Playhouse, she's just like this very friendly, very like sociable, like, oh, I'm always happy about everything. I'm Jewish and proud of it. And then on Taxi, she's just like super down on herself, very quiet, very whatever. And it's like she's good. How come I haven't seen her in anything else? But that's
I don't, that's hard to tell.
Sidebar, yeah.
I mean, look, there's a bunch of people in this. It's amazing that they had, obviously so many famous people being the guest stars.
Mm-hmm.
And you look at who's big then, and then, and everybody always mentions it. And then, Lawrence Fishburne's always been in there and was on the TV show. And and he might have been one of the best actors in the whole thing. When you look at all the people that were guests, everything, Fishburne's probably the best actor out of anybody that was in that entire special.
So I want to.
Well, the mail woman is pretty good. She went on to do a lot of night. Yeah.
I want to talk about Lawrence Fishburne's audition as Cowboy Curtis. So funny thing is, he came on to audition for Pee-wee's Playhouse, whatever, and obviously he ended up getting the role. But originally, he played the cowboy straight, just like a straight, serious, like cowboy. And they were like, dude, children's TV show, lighten it up a little bit. And he's like, oh, and then he did what he does on the show, and the rest is history. But it's just funny that he actually tried to play that role straight in his audition for Pee-wee's Playhouse.
I'm assuming he did not know what the show was about.
Well, yeah,
I guess
hearing a name like Pee-wee's Playhouse, I would definitely think straight drama. So anyway.
But I don't know how he could not have known. I mean, after that HBO special, everything about Pee-wee was so huge.
I mean, I don't know, but I've heard of things like that happening where like for example, Back to the Future was originally what's the guy's name? The original Marty
Michael J.
McFly.
Fox?
No, the original Marty.
Michael
Eric
J.
Stoltz.
Fox.
Yes, Eric Stoltz.
Eric Stoltz.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry.
He played that role very straight, very like serious, and they were like, okay, you got to ease up a little bit. It's a movie about time travel. It's stop being so serious. On the inverse, in the movie Carrie, the lady who played the role of Carrie's mother originally thought that the role was supposed to be comedic. And they were like, no, you gotta make it much more creepy because you're playing these things seriously. Yeah, so yeah, no, I've heard of things like that happening. And I guess that's just it is what it is. All right. Ken, is your
No, well, I
commentary?
mean, I mean, look, it was, I mean, it was fun. I could go on forever and ruin everything. I want to give other people a chance. My whole point was, I think Grace Jones was the greatest thing about the entire presentation, and I don't think I could ever second guess that.
Say
She
that
was
to the
fantastic.
day I die.
I
Now,
will, Grace Jones, baby.
excuse me, Grace Jones. One, well, three things that I'll say about the Grace Jones thing before I move on to the next panelist who have been so patiently waiting. Thank you so much. Um, First of all, they're like, oh, we made a mistake. This was supposed to go to the White House, not the Playhouse. And I have to say, like, okay, yeah, fine, it's a joke, it's funny, but I'm still gonna make fun of the joke. How do you make that mistake? The Playhouse is in Puppet Land, and the White House is in Washington, D.C. How are that? Anyway, so that's my okay. I'm taking this too seriously commentary. But now what I like, she takes off her little fur, her enormous fur coat, should I say, and she's wearing a very, very inappropriate thing with like the zipper halfway down and the thing in the shape of her boobs. And it's like, what? How did this get approved? I've seen some of the costumes that she wears, and they're not all racy like that. They're like, she was like the original Lady Gaga. Some of her like, costumes were just weird and interesting. Why did it have to be sexual? And the third thing, when she's singing, was a little drummer boy, and Pee Wee gets
Yeah,
up and starts doing his little, like dance with his fists. I like the way that she danced along with him. She didn't copy it. She went like this with her arms like up and down, you know? Did you guys notice that
yeah.
when she danced along with it? I wish I could describe it for the audio, but like she just made fists and kind of went up and down with her fist. So,
But you notice that even though she did something like that, it was
mhm.
still great. It was still it had grace to it.
Oh, it
It
had
was
Grace
still
Jones
very
to it. Absolutely,
flowing.
yes.
It was very, poetic, almost ballet like. She's
Oh,
just, I mean,
oh yeah.
yeah, yeah. She is incredible. And I did
Okay.
love her armor. It was great.
It was good. It was a great costume. Not what I would have chosen for a children's TV show.
And
Um,
are you trying to say that there was absolutely zero anything sexual about this special?
no, but
Okay,
that's
all
just
right. Just
one
make sure.
thing. No, no,
Just
no, no,
wanted
no.
to add that in there.
Well, the original, I believe the first reference to anything sexual was Miss Yvonne coming in with the
Miss
mistletoe.
Yvonne.
Miss Yvonne coming in with the mistletoe, saying like, "I'll kiss you and I'll kiss you and I'll kiss you." There's more than enough of me to go around. I'm like, damn. All right. So, um, Greg, I'm gonna ask your opinion.
Right. I rarely vehemently disagree with Ken, but I'm going to with this. I didn't remember it. This did air in prime time, right?
I probably.
I think this aired in prime time back in the day, but
Yeah.
I obviously hadn't seen it for years. Don't know if I saw it back then. I'm assuming I did. Was a big Pee Wee's Playhouse fan. This took me back to how brilliant this was. I'm so glad I got to see this after seeing that horrific Big Top Pee Wee, which is one of the worst pieces of pop culture anybody can watch. This was Pee Wee at its best. I thoroughly enjoyed this. I thought it was brilliant. I love that. I feel like there were a little homages to the Star Wars holiday special in this for sure.
I
It
didn't see it,
was,
so I'll take your word.
oh, definitely.
Okay.
Well, back then you could only have seen the Star Wars holiday special on a circulating VHS because for years it was, Lucas burned every copy, but you could see it on YouTube now in its entirety with commercials and everything. And I mean, Ken, I don't know if you've seen that, but this Christmas special was a spoof of Christmas specials while
Oh yeah.
still being a
Oh
Christmas
yeah.
special,
Oh, a
while
hundred
having
percent.
these amazing appearances. I forgot that Pee-wee, I always forget because in Pee-wee's Big Adventure he was too. I always forget that Pee-wee is a bit of an asshole. Like that whole thing with Dinah Shore, and like he's like the most selfish guy,
Yes.
but at the same time, it ends without any character development whatsoever. It ends with him, oh, we have to give others, and I'm going to go with Santa and give all the kids of the world my own toys too, even though but it's not supposed to have any character development. It was a delight from start to finish.
Uh-huh.
It was a beautiful spoof of these awful specials from start to finish. It was supposed to be delightfully awful, and it was, but the awfulness in there was good because I think Paul Reubens, as brilliant as he was let me do an awful Christmas special. Yeah, probably Phil Hartman couldn't be there because he was working on SNL at the time, and I guess there was a conflicted with the schedule of the taping of the Christmas special. But yeah, Annette and Frankie doing
Frankie and Annette.
Christmas cards. The random appearances from everyone from Charo to Grace Jones to Cher. And it was, yeah, because in 88, Cher was, I mean, she's a legend always, but
Yeah.
all of these kind of B at the, oh, Whoopi Goldberg, though, was still a superstar at the time. You had a mixture of
Yeah.
these superstars and these B guests like Annette and Frankie and Charo, but they're always incredible and they were always in like these variety shows in the 70s and 80s that it was spoofing while being entertaining, and it had that patented Pee-wee style and something I didn't know, and fucking light bulbs went off. I just saw an hour interview. If either of you are interested in seeing it, this hour in-depth interview with Mike Myers accepting some kind of award in France, and then there was an hour interview with him, and he's like, "Oh yeah, Pee-wee's Big Adventure helped influence both Wayne's World and Austin Powers," and I'm like, "Holy shit! Of course it did."
Well, yeah, that doesn't
Yeah, that makes
surprise me at
sense.
all. That's yeah.
Makes
The
sense.
stylistic of Pee-wee's, the stylistic backgrounds inspired Austin Powers, and seeing Pee-wee simply just spend his day-to-day hanging out with, of course, the bike being the quote unquote loose definition of MacGuffin, of that movie. And I'm like, holy shit, of course it inspired those two properties. Oh my God. And this was Paul Reubens' Pee-wee at its best. And I can't say good enough things about it. And I thank you for inviting me on this panel so that I could see that and wipe out that abomination that is Big Top Pee-wee, that I, by the way, don't blame Paul Reubens for in the least of having that be such a hemorrhoid that is on society.
Blame Hollywood, dude.
I blame
Oh yeah, there was a
Hollywood.
lot of drama right from the start with Tim Burton not being able to direct it. So yeah.
Oh yeah. Well, I'm surprised that we've made it this far in and no one has said a word about fruitcake. No one
I was
has said
about
Brilliant.
to.
you I'm so sorry, Hope. Okay,
I was
okay.
gonna.
I'm
I was
sorry.
Brilliant
gonna.
joke.
I'm
Yeah,
sorry.
Hope
I'm
didn't
sorry.
go yet.
I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. Hope, what are your thoughts on fruitcake?
First of all, in my language, Ionese, which we
Yes.
pronounce it fruitkake.
Fruitkake, excuse me.
And that's really what he should have done with all that fruitcake. Instead of made room out of it, he just should have had it
Like
thrown on,
covered
like
himself in fruit.
covered in it, just fucking fruitkake all over.
Yeah.
That was the most sexualized children's
I
show
just have to say real
episode
quick,
I've ever
I'm so,
seen. Go ahead, please.
I'm so sorry, Hope. Yeah, I just
Go
have to
ahead.
say real quick. Fruitcake is seen as this taboo Christmas gift, white elephant.
It is.
Made correctly, fruitcake can be delicious. I just want to point that out.
I would love to try one. I've never had it where it tasted good, but I believe that fruitkake is disgusting.
That actually fits with the overall theme of the show as well.
Yes. Well,
Yeah,
so
it's that
what he
show
should have
for
so
kids.
okay.
For kids.
Well, it's the show for kids
For
where like
kids.
I'll say that a lot of it was like subtle sexuality, kind of bordering on overt, it never quite got to the point where he covered himself with butter and then like pulled Miss Yvonne over, covered her with fruitcake and said, "Hey, let's make a snack." Um,
But
and
if he did,
Mhm.
she would have been ready.
She
Because
would
that
have.
girl gets around
She
like
get
a motherfucker.
she's all over Puppet Land. I'm sorry, Hope.
Amazing.
Please continue. We've cut you off a lot.
No, no, you're right too, because I'm bringing up something that's very true, and
Mhm.
no one's talked about it as frankly as I will. This is a vintage time capsule, and it's a very telling episode in so many ways. I did enjoy it as an adult, but children should, I mean, it's not safe for children. I am one of those people because I work with adults in entertainment. I do
Mhm.
like, grown up shows. We're not doing this show for 10-year-olds, and we know the difference. So like, you know what I mean? Like when Secret Ion goes out and sings songs about my vagina falling off, we're not doing that in front of like anybody but
Hopefully,
an
there's no 10-year-olds in the
18-year-old.
audience.
And if we do sing in front of 10-year-olds, we're not singing that song. You know
Right.
what I mean?
Okay.
Or we're replacing the lyrics. So this was like so borderline that it was uncomfortable to think of me as I believe I was 9 at that Christmas. As a 9-year-old, why am I looking at this stuff?
Hmm.
And I'm thinking about that as I'm watching this, and it's still fun and still great and interesting. But it's like it makes me question what people are trying to achieve. So I'm not mad. I'm just wondering, why are we doing this kind of posturing in front of kids? So that aside, it was very enjoyable. It was very funny. It's like a vintage time capsule with Pee-wee's Playhouse anyway, with all the characters and the fun dresses and I always go the artistic chat, but overall, it really was a beautiful, brilliant, sparkly, boom boom episode of everything. They fit everyone. They got Joan Rivers in there. They got Annette Funicello and Frankie Avalon in that bitch. They got Sherry, you guys talked about, Charo. You name it, they had it. Whoopi fucking Goldberg. I
Oh
mean,
yeah.
and it was a very liberal cast. And Dave Aguilar, bless you for not being here. I know you would love to talk about all of that. The rainbow of people, literally
Yeah.
the gayest show on earth. I had such a love fest for this show. I just didn't like that it was pointed at kids. That's really it.
I feel like it's not necessarily that it was directed at children. It was more about the liberties that they took when organizing it. Excuse me. Because I'm not sure if you are aware of this, but Pee Wee Herman was not originally intended to be a children's character. So
Did not
he's
know.
yeah, he was originally the character was originated in an improv group where he was actually supposed to be an incredibly irritating lounge act, and he just made really inappropriate jokes. And if you watch the Pee Wee Herman HBO special from 1981, you will see with absolute certainty that is overtly sexual. That is overtly like that is very obviously not meant for children. That is
We should podcast that as a relapse or something.
I
You know,
you know
be
what?
interesting.
Eventually we're gonna do all of the Pee-wees. I think Greg has his hand up.
Yeah, I'm not sure that I haven't seen episodes of the Saturday morning. I think this was prime time. There was after a while, Pee Wee's entertainment was the kids can enjoy the non. We look at back at it as adults and we're like, yeah, there's blatant sexuality in this, and yeah,
Mhm.
it's common knowledge that Pee Wee, nor did the Muppets start out as children's properties. The Muppets became children's properties with Sesame Street. I urge everybody to watch the Henson documentary. But yeah, Pee Wee started at the Groundlings, and
Yes.
yes, was adult, and then I don't remember how it went from that Pee-wee's Big Adventure is just such a was just such a crowd pleasing all ages that kids would gravitate to the character.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I'd be ignorant to say that the show did that all the time. I feel like the Christmas special aired in prime time and was sort of, it was like this, kids can enjoy it and the adults can enjoy the wink wink nudge nudge that, you know, this is kind of for you
Yeah.
as well, because there was so much in it. I mean, it could take a 2 hour, I mean, to break down this Christmas special and analyze the hell out of it, there's so much more going on than even meets the eye as to what they were trying to accomplish here.
Yeah.
And I think it's more, well, look, it's like a combination of his HBO special met with, well, this is airing for families as well. Kids can enjoy it, but adults don't have to explain any jokes to kids, but are able to enjoy it and not feel the need because they're so subtle.
Right, because they don't realize that they
Yeah.
are sexual references or whatever. Like, for example, Pee-wee says, before you go making out with everyone in the Playhouse, how about forking over that gift? Oh,
Yeah.
hey, it just means
You know,
she's gonna go talk to everyone. Okay, yeah,
and
that's fine. Yeah.
the parallels that I believe are there to things like the Star Wars holiday special, or even any specials from the 70s, 80s, these variety hours that were clearly also written by people dropping peyote. And there was no one drunk or high doing the Pee-wee Christmas special, because it was I'm certain of that, because it was meticulously, like, I was angry watching this with how brilliant it is, going, damn, if I could have written or thought of something like this. You know, this is what I couldn't convey in MSB Podcast Presents The Fake and the Whimsy. I'm not a good enough writer, you know, to do what they did in that, but they checked off every box and crossed every T and dotted every lowercase J, little ode to Mike Myers there.
Yeah,
and had this brilliant piece of comedy and satire, and that this was.
Yes, I agree, and very well said. By the way, I do believe Paul Reubens. He was one of the main writers on the show too. Like, he wasn't just the main actor. He wrote the show. He like kind of directed it, produced it. I think he was very heavily involved in the entire production. But yes, even in the non-Christmas episodes, there were some dropped sexual references. Maybe not even necessarily sexual, but things that are not super appropriate for children. Like in one episode, he went to the grocery store. He came back and he's putting the things on the counter. He takes out milk, lemonade, right? And he's saying that as he's going. And then he actually says, round the corner, fudge is made. And it's like, okay, you could have just stopped it at milk, lemonade. But you, for whatever reason, finished the phrase. I'm not sure why you did that, because that's that seemed a little silly.
No, but that's a kid's thing. Kids, you know, like 6, 7-year-old kids know that.
Okay.
I know, but I don't like encouraging that. I never liked it, even as a kid, hearing Mecca Lecca High, Mecca Heiny Ho. It was so confusing. A Heiny was a word established to me as a vagina. Okay.
Really?
Yeah. Some people contextualize it. Look it up.
I always thought backside
a Heiny as a front.
Yes.
And so for a girl my age to hear that, I'm like, I was already weirded out by this as a kid. I was.
Well, I suppose the parallel to that could be because in England, a fanny is
right.
Is the vag.
The vag.
Yeah.
The vaginal.
I don't want to hear about that either if I'm
orifice.
in England. And we shouldn't, like that's contextually, like, I get you're trying to be funny and I get you're trying to speak to kids in their language, but you better know the fuck out of the language, because if you're saying Heine, you shouldn't even be talking about ass to kids. I'm sorry, I'm a little bit heated about this, and I don't usually get, but I really feel that has no place in front of kids. What the fuck ever, at all.
I'm not so sure, and of course, obviously, I would never say don't feel upset about this, but I'm not so sure that was done intentionally like that. It just seemed like a funny sequence of syllables to say in a row, and heiny ho, okay, ha.
I get
But
it too. It's like it's
yeah,
so questionable. If it's even like this questionable, throw it in the fucking garbage. To
Well, I
me,
mean, that came originally from the HBO
from
special.
the
I mean, that
HBO
was
special,
word for
yes,
word. So
right.
if
why
they
not?
did mean that intentionally, I would not be surprised.
Um, Possibly. I mean, I feel maybe if it was done for the HBO special, uh, it would have probably been a little bit more obvious. Because like in the HBO special, they are quote unquote subtle when they know damn well they're not being subtle. Like that kind of subtlety. Um, like for example, shoe mirrors. I'm not wearing any underwear. Ah,
Yeah.
all right, never mind. Uh, but there is one thing that I do want to say about the Jambees. When he goes make like a high,
Hmm.
make a hiney ho, and they're
Yeah.
like
Phil,
repeat after me, right? And they say, make like a high, make a honey, and there's it, make a like a high, make a ho ho ho. Yeah. And then he does that like mola make a hale, bele, 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 right? And then no one is ever able to actually repeat that last one, but he's still able to grant the wish, which kind of just makes me feel like it's not necessary for anyone to repeat anything. He's just like, I'll do it if you try. I want to watch you struggle because he's just that kind of genie. He's he's Jambi the genie. Um,
he just wants the fun time. I get it. He's
right,
not trying to like really this wish won't be conjured if you
right,
don't
right.
do it.
Well, look,
It was
in the end it is all about Jambi because you notice right after he grants the wish, it's the wish is granted, long live
long live
Jambi.
Jambi. Yep.
And he says it himself about himself.
Mm-hmm.
Yes,
So,
he does. Another
I mean, right
selfish
away,
act on his
yeah,
selfish
anybody
guy
that
stuff.
speaks about themselves in the third person is immediately an asshole. So
Well,
yeah, Jambi's probably not the greatest of things.
I like Jambi in the HBO special though because, uh, obviously it's uh, again HBO special much more geared toward adults. He's in his little genie box. He gets a phone
Yeah.
call and it's like Jambi. It's like he's a
Yeah.
business, like
Jambi.
Jambi.
Yeah, yeah. Oh yeah.
I
Or
love
then like
that.
later, don't they open up the box and he's not ready and he's got like glasses on and he's doing his nails or something like that.
Well, what was that after they gave him his hands? It's like, whoa, these are
Yeah.
cool. Like,
Yeah. And then he's like, I'll be right back.
yeah, that's been something
And
I've
then,
been wanting to do for a long time.
yeah. So yeah.
Wow, I need to watch that special again so we can do this show about the special. Yeah,
Please,
Yeah.
Emily. I really think that's a great, someday Ville, if not next Ville, for this thing because it's so
yeah,
it's
I'm into it.
poignant and it's
Listen,
relative.
listen, we cannot pay tribute and homage to Paul Reubens enough. So this is the third episode paying tribute to Paul Reubens. We'll do a fourth one. We'll do a fifth one about the time he was the Penguin's father in Batman. I don't know.
Yeah, and then he's been a vampire ever since
Oh, can we
then.
do Buffy? Yeah, I was just gonna say, can we do
He's
Buffy?
in Buffy,
I
and
really
he
want to
was
do
also
Buffy.
he
I
was
love him.
also in What We Do in the Shadows.
And Murphy Brown.
Yeah, in Murphy Brown. Yeah, I've never seen Buffy, but I mean, I would watch it and do an episode on it.
It's
The
I'm
film,
so
it's the
glad you
Buffy
haven't.
film.
Oh, the
Yeah.
Buffy film. Okay.
Yeah, it's not
Yeah, the
the
film
series.
was.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was great in that. I don't even want to give you any spoilers, John, but that is you will love that as a Rubens fan.
I
Don't watch
like.
it until we watch it, but I
Okay.
love that for you.
I like the Buffy film because the lady who, well, I haven't seen it, but I happen to know the lady who plays Buffy in the original movie plays Carlton Lasseter's wife in Psych. And
And
that's, I don't know.
she is a far right winger.
Why
Oh
why
damn,
why do I
she's got
why do
me
I want to
at
know that?
five.
Why do I
Yeah.
want to know that? I don't want to know
I don't know.
that.
I didn't want you to like her.
Nah,
Damn,
All right. Well, anyway, I mean, look,
can't be good at everything.
yeah, you can't far right winger or far left winger, man. Like seriously, it doesn't
No,
matter.
I'm not saying
Yeah, like
anything
it's
against
yeah,
anything. Just don't be a fundy about anything.
no,
yeah.
no way. Or go fund me. Anyway,
So go fund yourself.
I want to go fund yourself.
I should rephrase and go a far right winger with cruel thoughts and opinions. That's all. Not a conservative. That's different to me.
It was implied. We got it. It's okay.
I want to steer back a little bit to the whole fruitcake thing. The fruitcake and gift giving. The fruitcake, excuse me, the fruitcake, which will hereby be referred to as fruitcake because, it takes too long to say fruitcake. Right.
It should also be the rating system for this one.
How many solid frozen fruitcakes up Hitler's ass? Anyway,
thank you.
So the running gag here is that everyone who comes into the Playhouse gets Pee-wee a fruitcake. It's just like, oh, and he's never upset about it. He's always just like, oh, great, more fruitcake. But it's like, thanks for giving me a gift. It was very thoughtful of you. And he was always very polite about it. Thank you. Thanks, Mrs. Renee. Thanks, Miss Yvonne.
He was actually the nicest to Cowboy Curtis. Because Cowboy Curtis is like, I got another fruitcake, but not going to want it. He's like, sure, I do.
Sure.
And I was like, I was like, everybody else, you were kind of a little disappointed. With Cowboy Curtis, you were like, yeah, give it here.
Well, no, when
he
finally
really
realized, when he finally realized that the uses for the fruitcakes, it like a whole new wing to the Playhouse.
Yep.
And the one
constructed by
the one construction worker who wasn't wearing a shirt was
both
great.
of them. Both of them.
They were both not wearing shirts.
They were both not wearing shirts.
Oh, I didn't realize that.
Blatantly.
So blatantly, super homosexual.
Not wearing shirts.
Amazing.
And super buff.
Fruitcakes. Okay, so anyway, that notwithstanding, yeah, so like he gets all these fruitcakes. He's all like, oh, very, very thankful. Thanks for thinking of me, blah, 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 blah. And I love the gifts that he gives in return. He gives Miss Yvonne perfume, eau de Pee-wee. It smells just like you. What the
oh my
fuck
God.
was that?
That is so sperm scent, dude.
It smells just like you.
Sperm in a fucking bottle. And she knows what his smells like.
That would be hard to use as a perfume.
Well, like maybe
how do you atomize that?
Well, I mean, probably the same way that you make real perfume. You take your flour, you put it in the machine, you make it liquid, and then I mean, sperm is already like kind of more or less a liquid, so it's like just liquefy it a little bit, put it in the blender, and there you go.
It does have a scent. Just heard about that though.
You never knew that before, right? Like that's anyway. So yeah, it smells just like you. Ooh, and I love that he opens it and sprays it on her first. She doesn't even do it herself. I love that. So
fucking. Oh my God.
So there's that.
Oh my God. And wait. Those fruitcakes were making a fruitcake wing. And I love that for us, for the gays. I love it.
Fruitcake wing. But okay, I wanna know, like, first of all, there are a couple of things that I wanted to kind of throw out there to make sure everything is mentioned. He gets the fruitcake, and like he like kind of slams it down on the thing, and it like makes a really like loud metal clanging noise, and then like he picks it up and he puts it on the dolly thing. It's like, okay, why is this fruitcake so heavy? Like, what exactly is in a fruitcake that makes it so heavy? First of all, I don't know. Like, when I was a kid, I was just like, oh, the fruitcakes are heavy, but why? Why are they heavy?
I think they're typically very dense.
Are they dense? Just like bam, bam.
Dense as hell. There's so much gumdrops and shit in there. It's heavy as fuck.
Yeah, you see, there's different. If there have been gourmet fruitcakes that I certainly have had in my life, they are disgusting. Like, especially those ones that are on like the shelf at Bed Bath and Beyond. Like, oh my God, this is like, who the hell would give them?
Among the towels.
Maybe what I've had is fruit bread. I don't know, but I've had in my life at Gaisher events fruitcake that was actually very good, and you put butter on it, and it was actually pretty good.
Listen, man.
Fruitcake, if prepared well, it was. But yeah, there are these boxed, disgusting thing of fruitcake that is like the worst gift you could possibly give somebody.
Well, that was obviously the running joke in the
Yeah.
entire Christmas special is that like this is the worst gift you could give someone, and everyone was giving it to Pee Wee. Um, Now, when he went to go put it in the refrigerator, two things came to my attention. The people in the freezer, they were like fishing out a present for him, and it was a tiny little miniature fruitcake, which he like kind of put down on the counter, and it made a little mini clang noise, right? And I was like, it's too early to be making this joke. That should be like after a whole, like at least three people gave you a fruitcake, then the freezer people gave you a fruitcake, and the clang noise happens. Okay, fine, whatever. You had to do what you had to do. He puts the fruitcake on the counter and never puts it in the refrigerator. He said he was going to go put it in the refrigerator, and he never did. So now that fruitcake is going to harden and become even heavier. Um, all right, so
Does it not harden worse in the refrigerator,
I,
actually?
I I don't know, but what he
Because
said was, I need to go put this brick, I mean fruitcake, in the refrigerator before it gets any harder. That's what he said.
yeah, I
So
remember. Yeah, it's just I feel like it's just gonna get worse in there. I don't know. It's gonna get
um
worse either way, I guess.
so so anyway, Reba the mail lady comes in. I got you a present. It's a fruitcake. Oh, I got you something else. I got you press-on nails. Why are they so big? They're toenails. So if anyone thinks that a fruitcake is the worst gift that you can give to someone, it's not. Because I'd rather get a fruitcake than press on toenails. That's just, at least you can eat the fruitcake. Um,
Disgusting. If
what's
you
that?
could eat the toenails if you're really gross.
Or if they're cake,
Oh, sorry.
cake toenails. So if I may, I wanna kind of quickly go down a list of stars that were on the show that made their appearances. When Cher was in the Playhouse trying to like operate Conky, and I noticed this that she just kind of came in and she was just trying to like get Conky to work. It's like, excuse me, is that your Conky? No. Like, can I help you with the Conky? Because you're just trying to like you're like poking at it, and it's like, okay, look, stand aside, Cher. I'll get the secret word for you. Right? Secret word is year. Okay. We all know what to do whenever anyone says the secret word, right? And she actually screams. She's like, ah!
Screams. Yeah.
She's like, ah! And I'm like, oh, well, I don't think that anyone actually screams like that when someone says the secret word. That's pretty dramatic. All right, so let's see. What else do I have here? One of the reasons that I am disappointed that Dave Aguilar was not able to be on this episode was because he dressed up as Princess Vespa's stunt double for the Halloween. Right. What?
Wow.
Yeah.
No, that's amazing.
Yes. It is
I
absolutely
love it.
amazing. And
I
now,
actually made out with him after while he was in that costume. Yeah.
Oh my God, I hate myself for not seeing all this.
oh, I mean, I thought you saw pictures.
I
Huh?
don't, me? No, I
No,
did not see pictures of those two making out.
not Greg making out with Dave in a Princess Vespa dress.
I may have, I don't think so.
Well,
I
anyway,
do
so
not so.
yes, he was Princess Vespa's stunt double, but there was the scene where they were ice skating outside, and little Richard, by the way, I love that appearance from Little
Amazing.
Richard. That was such a great appearance because he's this like larger than life rock star, and he's like basically like a little child who can't ice skate. He's like, "Oh, I can't stay up. Every time I get up, I fall back down." I sounds like what's his name? The other guy. But anyway, so yeah, I that was a fun character choice for him on the show because he was basically like completely helpless, and so whatever. So Pee Wee's like, "Oh, I could do it. It's pretty easy." And then, as it turns out, it's stunt double, right? And I was like, that's kind of the same joke that they used in Spaceballs, except, like a little bit more child friendly, right? So there's that. Uh, let's see. What else do I have? My brother and I, when Charo played the thing, one of our favorite things to say was "Hit it, Conky." That's just a sidebar, not really commentary on the show. Magic Johnson is Magic Screen's cousin. Love that. Find it a little bit racist, but that's okay. Uh, it's not actually racist. And Pee-wee's enormous Christmas list. I love that because Santa Claus came and said, "Well, there's nothing that we can do because none of the other children in the entire world can get presents because you want so many things." And he's like, "How many presents do you want?" Santa goes, "All of them." So Pee-wee gets nothing? What if Pee-wee had said, "I just want one present"? Would he have also not been able to get that?
No, he was being greedy.
Clearly.
Right, but then he gets nothing. That you're
Gets
you're right
nothing.
about that. It's a little hole in the story there.
Yeah, he's like, "Oh,
Little
I need
hole
He'll
in
get
the
nothing
moral.
except for the joy of giving for that fucking mistake.
Well, Pee-wee got to help Santa Claus on his sleigh. That's cool.
Yeah, all you get is the joy of giving.
And a lot of fruitcake. And a dreidel, which he lost in the dinosaur hole as soon as he got it.
Yeah.
Yeah, and 500 celebrity guests. And a partridge in the fucking pear tree, too, man. Come on, greedy boy.
Partridge in a fucking pear tree. Can I talk about how, so you were saying Pee-wee was disappointed that Mrs. Renee was Jewish.
Yeah, and the dinosaurs are Jewish too.
The dinosaur Jews are Jews, right? The dinosaur family is Jewish, which I guess makes sense because Judaism did come along before Christianity, so they
I was
would be
kind of thinking
Jewish.
that when
Yes,
I saw it. I was like,
yes.
oh, all right. First one, second.
I'm not sure
Wah,
that
wah.
was. I'm not sure that was the joke that was intended, but I'm
Yeah.
going to take advantage of it because the dinosaur
Yeah.
family was Jewish, and they would love to have a dreidel with chocolates inside. That dreidel had chocolates inside, and Pee-wee just,
Yep.
there you go. Like, oh no, I lost it in the dinosaur hole. Why is there a family of miniature dinosaurs living in a mouse hole?
It's a vintage show.
Oh, I thought they were real.
It's cute.
Yeah, and they had them. They were on the TV show too. That
They
had
were,
the
yeah.
dinosaur family living
Mhm.
in the floorboards.
They're even mentioned in the theme song. The dinosaur family goes hi.
Yep. No, that's true.
And I want a couple of talking fish.
Yeah.
I love that.
I don't know. I actually like the theme song for the TV show.
Cyndi Lauper.
Oh, it was Cyndi Lauper singing it?
Cyndi Lauper, yep.
Oh, well, now I like it even more.
Oh yeah.
Yay!
Yeah, no, it was great. And it was like and also this is something that I found funny too, because it was the theme song, and then also I feel that it related to Conky as well. You notice that anytime they needed something musical or sound effects, it was obviously some guy with either a MIDI synthesizer or
Right.
an electric drum kit.
Mm-hmm.
It was like the same 7 or 8 sounds. I mean, especially when Conky was talking, it was obviously some just guy with an electric drum kit that just had his voice sampled in it. And
Well,
he was just like,
sure, obviously, yeah.
but that was also the theme song, like that ha 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 ho ho voice in the beginning that went through the whole theme song. That was like the bass line of the whole theme song.
Bob, 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 bob. Well, yeah, that's
Yep.
that's a sample on a keyboard for sure. Bob,
Yeah.
bob, 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 bob.
Yeah.
Yeah, I had that Casio keyboard in the 80s.
So, Ken, you didn't know that was Cyndi Lauper. Did you know that theme song was written by Mark Mothersbaugh?
Mother's Bow.
Mother's Bow. Excuse me.
You know something? I didn't, if I did, I have forgotten it. I would not be surprised in any way, shape, or form that he was involved with it. Just realizing, so there was a TV show that was on the air. I think it in some form it still is, but there was a TV show on the air about 10 or 12 years ago called Yo Gabba Gabba. And loved it. I loved the show. It was, my kids would watch it because it was obviously a kid show, but I loved it because it was one of those shows that it was a kid show, but it was definitely for adults, and not because they would put in double entendre and like adult kind of jokes, but because almost all of the guests were musical guests that people who were adults and having children of the time would be fans of. So like a guest on almost every show, they had Biz Marquee, teaching the kids how to beatbox.
You say he's just a friend?
Right. And Mark Mothersbaugh did almost all the music for that show. He may have even been a producer. And he was in the show because they had a section called Drawing with Mark. And Mark would show you how to he'd draw a fish or he'd draw a dog or an ice skate. And he would have like a little section. And then they had all these bands on that were either like really famous that people who were older watching the show would love, or people that once they were on the show, like within a few months later, these people were doing world tours.
Nice.
So it was I love that show, and seeing how Mark Mothersbaugh, and for those who don't know, Mark Mothersbaugh was the lead of Devo. So for those who didn't know, I didn't know that, knowing that he was involved with that show, I'd have to check it, but he was probably involved with a lot of music production with TV and film years previous to that.
I gotta wonder if Mothersbaugh. Yeah, I gotta wonder if when they couldn't get Danny Elfman, they got Mothersbaugh.
It's possible, but
they did have a similar style.
What I do happen to know, and I didn't know that they tried to get Danny Elfman for the show for Pee-wee's Playhouse, but Mark Mothersbaugh.
I don't know that, John.
Okay.
I don't know if they tried, but
I see. Okay.
He was at that point completely working with Burton at that point.
I understand.
Probably doing
Mark Mothersbaugh not only wrote the theme song for Pee-wee's Playhouse, making it a Devo song sung by Cyndi Lauper, which is absolutely phenomenal, but he actually wrote the music for, I think, all of the episodes. Because I remember, he was being interviewed about writing music for Pee-wee's Playhouse, and he was saying basically I had to write an album's worth of music every week, and it was damn, you don't really think about it, but there's a lot involved musically on that show, and just kind of how does it line up with what's going on the TV, because it was that kind of show where the music would be like what's happening on the screen. So Mark Mothersbaugh. And Ken, I'm gonna say now it probably makes a lot more sense that you were so loving toward my use of the song Dare to Be Stupid to start the Asinine Villains episode.
Yeah,
because you are it seems a Devo fan.
I'm a Devo fan and a Weird Al fan. And that Dare to Be Stupid song has an anecdote that they've interviewed Mark Mothersbaugh for a few times.
Oh, yes.
Where
go ahead.
Jokingly, people took it serious, but he kind of meant it as an endearing joke. Yeah. But the deal was that, as everyone listening, if you know or do not know, so, Weird Al, would take all famous people's songs or their musical style and then make a song. And he would, more often than not, or I believe it was every time, he would ask the person who was the originator of that style, or the person.
He didn't ask when it was a style parody. He only asked when it was a direct parody.
He only asked when it was a direct parody. He would ask to, can I copy your song? Yeah. And when he did Dare to Be Stupid, of course, like John, you're saying, it was in the style of Devo. It wasn't a Devo song.
Right.
And as the story goes, Mark Mothersbaugh heard Dare to Be Stupid, and they interviewed him about it, and he goes, "We would try so hard, and it would take us so long to write songs and to get that sound down." And he did it in one song, like in a week, and made it sound better than our stuff while remaining absolutely true to the style we use. He goes, and I hate him
for it, right? Yep.
And for a while, people were taking that serious, and then but it was just it was a joke, but it was semi-serious, but not really.
Ken, I have seen that interview, and
yeah,
I can see why people took it seriously. Like there was, I mean, I don't know, I didn't see like 5 minutes before and 5 minutes after, but I saw him say what you said, and he's like, and I hate him for it, basically, and like he's like. Not even a smirk, not a smile, just like a dead straight face. So it's like, I could see why people took it seriously, but
yeah, he was joking, but it was great. And that's, we're obviously getting to the side of it, but it goes to speak what an amazing musician Weird Al is.
Weird Al is incredible. Yes.
Yeah. And we should, and now as even another side, we definitely have to review the Weird Al movie. I mean,
UHF?
both no, we have to do then an arc. We have to do UHF, and then we also have to do the one that Harry Potter did. The
Weird Al movie. Yeah. Daniel Radcliffe, I believe his name is.
Yeah, that Daniel Radcliffe was very, very good in it, and I love every interview that Weird Al does of that movie, where he's like, it's very, very true, and everything in it is completely accurate, especially the part
accurate,
about me with Madonna. The movie's fantastic. I mean, the movie is just amazing.
I do have one thing to say before we do a full episode of the Weird Al movie is Daniel Radcliffe, when he was playing Weird Al Yankovic, I understood him better than when he speaks with his natural accent. Because his British accent, normally I don't have trouble understanding British people, but his accent is so thick. Or maybe he just talks fast. I don't know, but I have trouble understanding him when he speaks with his normal accent, natural accent. So yeah, just a sidebar.
There's so much homework after this episode. We have so many episodes to follow.
Because Pee-wee, look, I'm going to say it. I don't mean it in a weird way, but Pee-wee touched so many aspects of entertainment and culture of the time. And it spread out through everything. And I don't mean that in a weird way. Yeah, but let's say he was very influential. We'll put it that way.
Back to the light bulb with Mike Myers saying how much he was influenced by him. Yeah.
I'm going to edit that statement where you're just saying Pee-wee touched so many ass. Just going to say that. That's
yes. I mean, he did get in trouble. No, he didn't get in trouble for that.
He touched the front.
Working up in a movie theater like everybody else.
So I've said this before in the last Pee-wee tribute, which Greg, you were a part of that. I'm sorry, but yes, when I was a child of what 9 years old, maybe 8 years old when I heard about that happening, I literally imagined Pee Wee Herman in his gray suit and red bow tie getting caught jerking off in an adult theater. Because in my mind, what, Greg?
It's funny that you should say that because they did a Jerry Springer show. I think it was between Jerry Springer turning from a regular Donahue type talk show to a trash show about the cancellation, which they didn't call it back then, of Pee Wee Herman. And the child was very upset that he was being. Now, I think it was the coincidence of Pee Wee's Playhouse was supposed to end anyway. That happened, but that was it. Pee Wee was done after that for many, many years. And the mother was defending Pee Wee Herman, saying, if he went into that theater dressed as Pee Wee Herman, I would take issue with that. But the fact that it was Paul Reubens and not Pee Wee Herman, and people aren't separating the art from the art. Look how ahead of her time this woman even was. But she goes, if he was dressed up like Pee Wee that'd be one thing. But this was Paul Reubens and not Pee Wee Herman. And my son still loves Pee Wee, and I let him love Pee Wee.
Because he
And so that was that.
obviously
Yeah.
because he obviously isn't going to an adult movie theater in character. He's just going because he wants to see some fucking naked women. That's all. Who cares? So yes, but in my
and compared to the majority of stuff that people are getting found out doing today,
Mhm.
that was ridiculously tame.
But it's like, who even gives a shit? He's jerking off in an adult movie theater. What is the problem?
What else?
It's
What else is
supposed to
supposed to
be
happen in
that.
those places? Yeah, I know. It's
Yeah.
just, it's so ridiculous. Like
before
nothing would
the
have.
ti- it was the time. It was the time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Pee Wee's sperm and
What?
having to collect it in a bottle and give it to Miss Yvonne for
You see-
Christmas.
You could tell it was Pee Wee's sperm because it kept going, swimming around, going, ha, ha, ha.
And then at the time, people felt this way. And I have a friend who I adore, and obviously their name is going to be omitted. But they're like, when Pee Wee died, and everybody was like rejoicing, oh my God, this is so sad. This person said, I can't mourn for him. He was a pervert.
Oh, God.
Pervert? How is he a pervert? Does everybody not do that? Do you not do? And he wasn't meant to be caught. It was like, oh, he's caught. But I think he also had a little pot with him. I understand.
Oh, well, that
A
makes it
little
like,
what?
Well,
Pot.
for the time, yeah,
Well, no, he was using that to hold the
He had a
sperm.
little cock.
right.
A little pot with him.
just had a little bag. That's all he
cock.
needed.
He was very.
I thought
He was
had
very.
a little
He
cock.
he was.
Little
he
cock,
was- he
yes.
was-
Well, you got to remember, that was 1988, though, and like,
No,
oh,
no,
yeah,
no, it was like
oh,
1990. It was,
88,
yeah.
yeah,
Yeah, it was a couple of
between
years
88 and
later.
90,
Yeah.
yeah.
I'm sorry, Ken, you were saying?
No, I'm saying it was. Yeah, no, just like I said, it was a couple of years later.
All
But
right.
yeah, it wouldn't. And what's funny? Not funny, but I believe what he looked like when he got caught was very similar to how his character in Buffy the Vampire Slayer looks.
Yeah, because I
His
think
hair was long.
I think he
had
had
a
long
goatee.
hair and a goatee, right?
Yeah, it was pretty-
which was
I
made
thought that was
famous in
funny.
his mugshot. That was, I remember looking at it when I was a kid. Like,
I don't remember who said it, but it was like the poor Pee Wee Herman back then, because YouTube wasn't a thing yet, and there's the only place that you could go to do that and see things. The
But-
poor guy,
Yeah.
the
But I
poor
mean,
guy.
all right,
Yeah.
come on, man. Look. He's
Yeah.
Pee Wee. Paul Reubens had to have some money, man. He couldn't send away for a few videotapes. Come on, man.
Yeah, that's
You had to
true.
go to a
Yeah,
movie theater.
but
Yeah.
still, yeah.
Anyway,
But we separate the art from the artist, and that's very tame. And it did blow over, pardon the expression, after several years. So
blow over. Heard any good
Yeah.
jokes lately? Anyway,
My
But,
big gay Christmas with Pee-wee.
so I suppose that'll do that. Oh, does anyone know who that was singing the thing at the beginning of the special? Like, was that like a Navy or something?
well,
I think they were Marines.
Marines?
Yeah.
Yeah.
and that was effing brilliant.
It was so
That was
good.
so brilliant.
Like, the reason I'm asking is because why am I taking for granted that they are all going to be able to sing so well and in key? There were a lot of them. There weren't just like 3 or 4. There were like 20 people there at least. So I mean, like, that's something.
And they danced so well too.
Yeah.
And you know what was
Yeah,
fun?
they
You know what was
were.
funny too?
I do.
All of them standing at attention. First of all, one thing I'm going to say, hate to break it to you, John, I could be wrong. I really don't think those guys were Marines.
No.
That's
Okay.
that's the first thing.
I don't know who the hell they were. That's why I'm asking.
And then I'm guessing they were some kind of like choir.
Yeah. That
if I had to guess.
That seems more likely.
And then the second thing is all those guys standing, at attention virtually,
Like
looking
Pee Wee in the
straight-
theater. Okay, I'm
right,
sorry. go ahead.
exactly. Look, yaka.
Hey.
And then looking straight ahead, except for one guy. There's only one guy who's staring right into the camera the
bad
entire
actor.
time.
Bad actor.
Every single one of them looking straight ahead, and there's one guy staring down the camera. And the whole
Jimmy
time
Fallon.
I'm thinking, yeah, and the whole time I'm just like, what the hell are you doing, man?
That had to
Like,
be intentional. That had to be intentional.
I don't know. I just it was just everybody perfectly,
So
choreographed, and him just like dead eyeing the camera, and I'm like, you're taking me out of it, man.
what I
you know.
what I loved, you're taking me out of it. Yeah, like I don't like that you talk to the camera. That just takes me right out of it. Anyway,
Yeah.
It's like the same
about
with porn.
but
Don't look at the camera.
just looking right
Also,
at the camera.
The UCLA men's Glee Club opened that they were acting as a Marine choir. That was the introduction.
But what I love is at the end of the song where Pee Wee starts singing himself, and like he's not. Well, okay, I was about to say he's not a great singer, but he was singing at the beginning of Big Top Pee Wee, and that was actually him singing, and he's actually not so bad. I guess he just pretended to be a bad singer. That's Christmas at the Playhouse. But I love that, like, so all of the people in the choir, like, kind of like going back and forth in unison like this, and like Pee Wee's kind of going back and forth and like that, and he's like kind of getting annoyed that they're getting in his way. Just like,
Yeah, he shoves one guy.
it's like, I love that because he's obviously the reason that it's happening that way, not the people who are all dancing in unison.
And
Anyway.
how sexy were the Ronettes? How fucking sexy were those OG girls?
Oh,
Triplets.
gee. Yo,
No,
you mean the
what?
Del Rubio twins, the triplets?
Del
that's
Rubio
it, the
triplets.
Del Rubio triplets.
Yeah.
Sorry,
Bro.
I thought they were the Ronettes. No,
Okay.
they were freaking hotties.
They're hot, and they were in their 60s at the time. Like they were like fucking hot, dude. Well, they're all may they all rest in peace. May
Yeah.
a lot of the people,
The
who were on
majority of the
show
guest
like this,
stars, yeah.
and Pee Wee and John
Yeah.
Paragon, who played Jambi, all may they rest in peace. Excuse me. Thank
Dinah
you,
Shore.
Dinah Shore, the late Dinah Shore.
I think Annette. Funicello.
Annette has
Yeah,
passed on.
and Frankie.
I don't know
Frankie-
about Frankie.
Frankie's still
I'm not
alive.
sure.
And
Frankie- yeah,
and
Frankie's still
Joan
Yeah,
Joan Rivers.
before her time.
Sure, but I wouldn't try it with a bar of soap.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. I'm pretty sure King of Cartoons is dead.
Yeah.
Ken. Why do we love him? He is. He
The
he
king-
is.
wait.
Oh my God! Such a
Wait.
major part of Star Trek.
Who, the King of Cartoons?
Yeah. He
Was
was,
he-
a
Oh my God.
Daystrom.
Oh,
He's
was he
Daystrom.
Daystrom? Yeah, he was
Yeah.
Daystrom.
Yeah.
How did we
Yep.
never talk about that creepy cartoon that was in there, by the way?
That cartoon is fucking creepy. But
Yeah, orphans, man. Orphans crying at the
That was-
orphanage.
Mhm.
It was rather
Horrible.
brilliant for the
That's-
because
that was a Betty
as
Boop
a
cartoon.
film, that was rather brilliant.
Yeah. Well, okay, look, honestly, we're talking, I think that cartoon was made in the 30s or 40s or something like that.
Yeah, and they brought it back.
And they-
on
well, Pee-wee's Playhouse brought a lot of those really creepy.
Yeah, they did a lot of those real creepy
Yeah.
old cartoons. That
Yep.
was like their thing,
It's
which is like very, very Tim Burton-esque to do that.
I never liked the cartoon segment because the cartoons were just like, dude, what, like, okay, it's not like you're just trying to fill time, so here's a 30-second cartoon. You could literally do anything. It's Pee-wee's Playhouse. You could talk about anything. You know what I like to do? I like to go out and plant seeds. Anyway,
I feel like there's a method to Paul Reubens' madness.
Right.
I'll leave it at this for everything he did in that show.
I have a question
tongue in cheek.
about the King of Cartoons. He had a remote control that he had in his jacket. Like he took it with him. He brought it to the Playhouse. Let
Yep.
the cartoon begin. Why did the King of Cartoons have Pee-wee's TV remote? Like why? Like he took it out of his own jacket. Let the cartoon begin. Sometimes it wouldn't even be facing the TV. What the hell are you controlling with this remote? What is going on here?
Well, wasn't it the remote? Wasn't the TV screen that he would watch the cartoons on? It was that.
Well,
It was one of the characters, right?
that red TV, right? But
Yeah.
oh, you're talking about Magic Screen?
Yeah, wasn't it?
No.
Was it Magic? Was Magic Screen?
Nah.
Was that it?
It wasn't Magic Screen. I
Oh,
think it was.
see? So it was a special TV just for the
Yeah.
cartoons that he
Right.
must have had the
Yeah,
remote
just
for.
for the King of Cartoons.
King of
It's good to be
Cartoons.
the king.
Yeah, it's like,
Right.
listen, I watch too
And
much TV. Take the remote. Yes.
Annette
Um,
announces it because she's like, I always wanted to do that.
be my guest. Wait, I want to get
Yeah.
back to the Del Rubio triplets because we kind of just like brushed over them.
Yeah.
Like
Yes,
the Del Rubio triplets, it is what how did he describe it? It's the heavenly intonations of the Del Rubio triplets. It's like, what's that?
yeah.
Follow my footprints. Anyway, so like
He's attracted, first of all. Second of
mm,
all, to all three of them. Third of all, siblings. Fourth of all, way older. Fourth of all, fifth of all. I can't get out of the fourth dimension now. I'm
I don't know,
sorry.
man. So the Del Rubio triplets, they were just like started to sing, and it's like, look, if that was real snow, they would have been like freezing their asses off, man. Come on, like they were wearing these tiny little
No,
skirts. What?
Yeah. Little
no, they're
boom
that
boom
hot
shorts.
that they were impervious.
Uh-huh. Um, so yeah, what was the song? In the meadow, we could build a snowman and pretend. Then they did it well, and then at the end, they just started throwing snow at each other. And the Del Rubio triplets were not only on that one episode; they were also featured on another episode where they sang "These Boots Are Made for Walking."
Oh wow.
Yeah, they. I guess they like being on the show.
They were a
And
fave.
We're going to cut to the end now because this is what we have to do. All good things must come to an end. Ken,
Yeah.
what are your plugs? Can you plug yourself,
Um,
please?
I will plug myself. Well, first I will give my rating.
Okay. Yes, what's your rating for this?
All right, and it's gonna be fruit kake all over Hitler's ass.
Just like you get the frozen one and you also mush it up and you just
Just the just a glaze, if you will.
Mhm.
Um,
Delightful.
yeah, just almost shall we say maybe a Cosby sweater in a way. And I'll let everybody out there who doesn't know what that is look it up on Urban Dictionary. It's
Oh
awesome.
dear. All right.
So as to where you could find me, which please don't find me after I just talked about Cosby sweater
And
um,
fruitcake.
and Fukake. You can find me on Facebook, Ken Radner. I am there. I am also a member of group Star Trek Fans United. I am also a member of the partner podcast to that group called Star Trek The Undiscovered Podcast, which we have just ended our season. We're starting again in January with our Section 31 review, which is going to be Tunzo Funzo. And I am also, as now, a member of a Bullshit Hour and as well a lovely little podcast called The Hour of Comics is Upon Us.
I must
where
Ken,
yeah,
I must
yeah.
I must correct you. You are a regular on this podcast is Lamb Chops.
This podcast is Lamb Chops,
Yes.
which is a subsidiary of Bullshit Hour, almost kind of like a skin tag on the neck of Bullshit Hour is this podcast is Lamb Chops.
Right.
And I'm also on Twitter, but I never check it. But I am Ken Data 2023 with a capital K and a capital D. You can message me there, and it will never be checked.
You're on there with a big D. Okay. All right.
Big old D.
All right. Excellent. Greg.
Yes. Well, first of all, I two things. I thought that I was going to go first. So Ken, thank you for saving me work on promoting Star Trek The Undiscovered Podcast. However, you and I will have to have a little talk off the air on how to properly promote Star Trek The Undiscovered Podcast. Wink, wink.
Oh,
I don't want anyone
This
to
is why I don't.
to.
This
Yeah.
is why I don't do shows with Greg. All right, go ahead. I'm
Right,
sorry.
right. Okay, so you can find me. I'll spell my name GREGV as in Victor, OR as in Robert, OB as in boy, Greg Vorab. Find me at YouTube. That is really what I do. I just recently started to say, I call myself a pseudo podcaster because podcasting is kind of a side thing to what I really do. You want to see what I really do? check out my YouTube at Greg Vorab, please.
I don't want to see what you really do.
Yeah. My Facebook is Greg Vorab, where you can find my acting page as well. You could give a like to Greg Vorab. You can add me as a friend. I basically will accept you until I get a message from you that says, "Hey, sexy." I will message you and I'll accept you and assume you're real or that you heard me on a podcast. On X, where I do check the X. X is all the promoting. I do all promoting on X, so I don't really scroll it. But if you message me there or follow me, I will follow you back. I will message you back. And X is Greg_Vorab. Blue Sky, which I've been urging John to put Lamb Chops an Hour of Comics on. Blue Sky, actually, Ken, we have a Blue Sky for Star Trek The Undiscovered Podcast, which is at STTU Podcast. However, that is run by Holly McMiller. So that isn't me, but I am on Blue Sky at Greg Vorab. And as far as podcasts, yes, there's Star Trek The Undiscovered Podcast is coming up, but I have a new podcast now with Kyle Bain, Real Reactions with Greg and Kyle. That's Real, REEL. We are a monthly podcast looking to be the third Friday of every month right now is what we're hoping to drop these. And we have the first 2 episodes on there. The first one is a review of Robot and Frank. The second is Mumford. We do movies that fell kind of under the radar. And we're on X at Real, REEL, Real Reaction Pod on X, and Real Reactions Pod on Blue Sky. And you can find that podcast on Spotify and iHeartRadio. Thank you. And happy holidays, everyone. Thank you for having me on. And John, my rating for this is 10 out of 10. And thank you for having me join you in talking about this beautiful piece of classic pop culture.
That is 10 out of 10 fruitcakes up Hitler's ass. That's you have to specify that, otherwise it doesn't count. Okay. Hope, are you ready?
Yes, this is Hope Woodison, as in Woodison it would be if you didn't get with me at the gangbang. That's a song we do in Secret Ion, which John is a part of. The drummer is he, the greatest, also known as Magic Ion in that band. I'm Hion, the highest of the ions. We also have V, also Victoria Ann, who is Flyon, and Charles Edward Pilata, who is Pion. Together, our forces combined, we're Secret Ion. We're coming to an ear hole near you. We have a show 3:15 on LTV. East Hampton will be playing live with other bands, and then that will be broadcast, professionally recorded and disseminated for your eyes and ear holes shortly thereafter. I'm also in a thing called Liquid Imagination, which is my art, which you can look up on Instagram. The band you can look up on Facebook. I also do a thing called Safe Sonic Spaces, which is a collective of humans who want to create safety in the music realms, not here or there or anywhere, but everywhere. So those are main things that I'm working on now. I'm also a writer, a poet, a storyteller, a meditator, and a helper to all beings. Look us up everywhere. Hope Woodison, WOODASON, if you want to DM me on Facebook and tell me how much you love my weirdness. Love you. That's it. Happy holidays.
Yay.
Stay safe.
My name is John Seymour, JON space SEYMOUR. I can be found on Facebook. You type in that name, JONSEYMOUR. There's a picture of me and my wife and my family, and there's 6 of us in the picture. That's how you know it's mine, and that's me on Facebook. And Hope, I am playing a show with you on January 11th. We are playing that show together. It is Alanis Morissette tribute band, Wavelength, and 2 cockeyes.
Close. Secret Ion, our other thing.
Secret Ion as well. Right. Okay. I'm just, it's sort of like, you're giving me signals without actually talking to me. So Secret Ion, which is an original project, and Wavelength, which is an Alanis Morissette tribute band. We are playing at Whiskey Rocks in West Babylon in Long Island, January 11th. We're going on 10 p.m. We're going on at 10 p.m. And the show starts at 7. And Hope is very happy about all this. So that's what's happening. I'm going to say this all together. January 11th, Whiskey Rocks in West Babylon, Long Island. We are playing Wavelength, Lannis Morissette Tribute Band, and we're playing Secret Ion. We are going on at 10 p.m. The whole show starts at 7 p.m. Don't miss it for the world. That means you can. Do not miss it. Please do not miss it. Oh, yeah. I'm going to be. Oh, God. Ken's trying to choke me. My other band, My Haunted Past, is playing Whiskey Rocks in West Babylon, Long Island on April 19th. And that is going to be an amazing thing as well. And Ken is currently fisting Hitler's asshole. So, and oh my God, it's milking. Oh my God, all the things. So, anyway, yes, My Haunted Past, heavy metal project, April 19th. Whiskey Rocks, West Babylon, Long Island. Don't miss it. Okay. Well, thank you everyone for tuning in. And good night.
Good night, everybody.
All right.
Happy Christmas.
The sweetest thing that's ever blown in with the breeze. And if you see her, tell her that I'm in love with her. She's the girl on the flying trapeze. Hey! The girl on the flying trapeze. Whoa! When I close my eyes, I see her there, swinging through my dreams.